host, The Stephen A. Smith Show, starts right now.
Over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. So make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. I don't sound the same. Matter of fact, I sound pretty crappy right now because my voice has faded from me. Hours of working, traveling, obviously losing my temper, dealing with the New York Knicks and not getting the number one overall pick in the draft. I had a conniption, and as a result, my voice is a bit shot right now. Not shot enough for me not to be over the airwaves, but shot from the standpoint of me not being my regular, energized, passionate, loud self. So nevertheless, you get the normal Stephen A. I'm not going to give you the Barry White Stephen A., the one with the mellow voice. You understand? The one that can sit up there and be a DJ for late night music, you know, the R&B, the slow jams, and all that stuff. I'm not going to give you that voice. Y'all ain't ready for that. But I will tell you that this is how I'm going to be sounding over the next couple of hours. You'll have to deal with it if you so choose. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, the number to call up is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. There's a lot of stuff to get into today, and one of the biggest stories developing and percolating is Zion Williamson, the imminent number one overall pick in next month's NBA draft. Obviously, the New Orleans Pelicans won the number one overall pick, and there is speculation as to whether or not he will or whether or not he even should consider doing what he can to ensure that he's not the number one overall pick of the New Orleans Pelicans, even if it meant going back to school and going back to Duke, because essentially he is eligible. He can return to Duke, number one. Number two, he never hired an agent nor signed a sneaker deal. So because of those two realities, there's no conflict as it pertains to NCAA bylaws, its rules and regulations. And as a result, if he desperately doesn't want to be in New Orleans, then you know what? He's got some options, albeit not really plausible ones in most of our minds. His stepdad spoke on a radio station in Baton Rouge, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. So I can tell you what his stepdad said about all of that, and I'll get back into that in just a second. But the first order of business is what I witnessed right here in Milwaukee, which is where I'm doing the show from on this particular day. I'll be here in Milwaukee today and tomorrow. I was here for last night's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'll be here for Friday night's game 2 for the Eastern Conference Finals. And I got to tell you something right now. I know that Toronto had as much as a 13-point lead. I know that Kawhi Leonard dropped 31 and Kyle Lowry dropped 30. I know that Toronto, the number 2 seed in the entire Eastern Conference, is a formidable foe. I'm not questioning any of that. But I got to tell you something. If what I saw last night was any kind of indication whatsoever, I have to be honest with you and tell you I am of the belief that the Milwaukee Bucks have this series in the bag. That it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me to see the Toronto Raptors winning more than one game this series. I predicted they lose it in 7, a game 7 back in Milwaukee. But I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this ended in 5. You see, what you saw last night, in my opinion, the bad stuff in Milwaukee, you're not going to see for the rest of this series. You saw a team that was clearly rusty, shooting 11 of 44 from three-point range. You saw a team that appeared a bit discombobulated on offense. You saw a team that was rusty. And you saw a team that epitomized all of those things that I just said by shooting 11 of 44 from three-point range. That's 25%. And simply not having it for most of the game offensively. And then the fourth quarter arrived. And what happened? Kyle Lowry was absolutely sensational throughout the game, scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, ended up finishing with 30. But Kawhi Leonard scored 2 points in the fourth quarter on 0 for 3 shooting. The rest of the team collectively, Kyle Lowry hit 5 of his 7 shots in the fourth quarter. The rest of the team took 15 shots and made 0. Not a basket. Now, I don't know about y'all, but your future don't look too damn bright when something like that happens. How many nights I can expect when I saw Kawhi Leonard go into the lane and get a shot blocked by the 7'1" Brook Lopez, I can foresee that. When he ends up turning the ball over because he goes into the land of trees in Milwaukee, the Greek Freak Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez, the 6'9" Chris Middleton, the 6'10" Nikola Mirotic, rather. I mean, these are trees that exist on Milwaukee's front line. If I can foresee him having those kind of struggles, you know what I can't foresee? I can't foresee the Greek Freak struggling from the field. I can't foresee Milwaukee continuing to miss the open shots that they had opportunities to hit because of the collapsing effort of the Toronto Raptors, all on the Greek Freak. I'm looking at Malcolm Brogdon come off the bench. This brother can shoot and he can play. I'm not underestimating. I'm not sleeping on that by any stretch. I'm thinking about all of these things. I'm monitoring and looking at all of these things. And I'm here to tell you something right now. This is no joke. So I just look at them right now. I look at this team, the Milwaukee Bucks, and I just believe that they're big, they're strong, they shoot perimeter shots, and collectively they absolutely positively defend. And when I look at it from that perspective, I don't know how Toronto can beat them because, you know what, like I was telling my man Max Kellerman, styles make fights. And if you are going up against the Milwaukee Bucks and you're the Toronto Raptors, you don't have the horses. By the way, Nick Nurse, it would help if you didn't put Marc Gasol out on the perimeter against Brook Lopez. That ain't going to work. You need to have somebody more quick of foot, like a Serge Ibaka out there. That ain't going to work. Marc Gasol trying to defend him. That's not going to work. Also, we got to remember the fact, too, that it wasn't just rust. It was also the fact that the Toronto Raptors threw Milwaukee off kilter to some degree, because what they did was they threw a 3-2 zone in Milwaukee's direction. A 3-2 zone. And dared them to be beat from the perimeter. So you can imagine how this must have thrown Milwaukee off. I don't anticipate that happening in game 2. I don't anticipate that happening in one of the games in Toronto. And as a result, I expect the Milwaukee Bucks to win this series relatively easily. I wouldn't be shocked. It can't ever go on 7. That would shock me. 6 wouldn't shock me that much. But I'm going to go with 5. I mean, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it, Toronto. Styles make fights. And that is that. Moving on to tonight's game 2 at the Oracle in Oakland, California, where the Warriors will host the Portland Trailblazers. That's a different scenario. Warriors are playing outstanding defense led by Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala. Steph Curry has exploded with his threes. Klay Thompson has helped with his threes. And you certainly, don't get me wrong, their defense is stellar. And that's not to say that Portland doesn't need to have people that steps up. Harkless dropped 17. Rodney Hood dropped 17. They ain't had bad games. Seth Curry had a bad game. Evan Turner didn't score a point in the game. That cannot happen. But I will tell you this. That ain't Portland's major problem. Portland's major problem is that C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard have to take over. The very two dudes that has carried them throughout this year, they got to do it again. Are they going to do it? Hell no. Portland's not winning this series. But can you win a game or two if you do that? Yes, you could. Yes, you could. And it's going to be real interesting to see what they actually do. Because it's going to be a challenge, make no mistake about it. There is no way around it, ladies and gentlemen. Steph Curry is catching fire. Klay Thompson is too. And when they do that, they are the best shooting backcourt in the history of basketball. Period. And I don't think Portland can beat them at all. I will tell you this, though. All of this noise percolating about Kevin Durant and whether or not he's going to come back, let me state for the record, let me be very, very, very clear. Without Kevin Durant, the Milwaukee Bucks will beat the Golden State Warriors for the World Championship. You need Kevin Durant against these brothers. You need somebody that can look those trees in Milwaukee in the eyes and say, you know what? You can look down on everybody else, but I'm right here on your level, and I'm going to bust your butt. Because this is what I bring to the table. There's nothing you can do about it. Everybody's going to be fascinated. The Greek Freak against Kevin Durant. Oh, my God, what a matchup. Yeah, what a matchup. But be very, very clear. The Greek Freak is dominant and as awesome as he is. Offensively, in terms of dissecting one's offensive repertoire, you ain't even in Kevin Durant's league. It ain't even close. You're inside, he's outside. So know that. Know that. Milwaukee and Golden State seem to be on a collision course. And to me, Milwaukee will win the championship unless Kevin Durant comes back. They will win the championship this year unless Kevin Durant comes back. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Something else I want to get into before I go to the callers. I had heard about this, and then I saw the jump yesterday on ESPN where Brian Windhorst reporting it. Zion Williamson, the projected number 1 overall pick in the upcoming NBA draft. His rights belong to the New Orleans Pelicans.